Warning: this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving the quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. My name is Adrian Babashoff, and this is episode 260, and this is How to Escape the Great Struggle, Part 3. I've been kind of on a little rant about this kind of stuff, and leaving on my vacation for a month and being out, I really got some insights this year, more and more as time progresses, on what that means to me and what that possibly might mean for others and what we can do about these situations. Pardon the background noise, I'm on my work commute right now. Well, actually, my work commute consists of going to the beach and going running right by the water. But the background noise is my vehicle, and I'm doing this show on my commute, so that's the background noise there. So guys, we need to get out of here, and we need to figure out what's going on, and to understand, well, what is the struggle? How are we going to get out of here? What's caused the struggle, and what can we do about all this stuff? And I think the very, very first one is for us to recognize that there's mind control of the masses, and if our systems, what I mean is that these people cannot be swayed. The majority of people around you have decided that this is how life is. And in fact, some of these people will defend it. It seems like to the death. Some people are pretty fucking crazy. There's no swaying them. So, and we're not here. I personally here to sway anybody. What I would like to have, what I'd like to expect from people is that I'd be able to form my own personal opinion on things. And maybe what I'd like to see too is everybody spreading out and doing different things, right? To invent new things, new ways of doing things. And if we all did that, if we had a group of 10 people and all those 10 people did complete opposite things, and we all were open-minded, unbiasedly, right? We would all come back together and find out, well, what happened? How did this all work out? No, instead, what we have is mind control of the masses, where they're told, wear a mask, and I don't want to get into all that kind of stuff. I wear a mask out of, if a business asks me to, but yeah, jump how high and, send your kids to school, get married, pay taxes, buy a house, get into debt, go to college. These are all the right things to do, yet look at the percentage of people who are actually successful. And I know that word successful can be put out in many different meanings and many different interpretations, but as far as what the interpretation of the masses, of what society deems it so, I think we pretty much have it put right up in our faces. It's not really working out too well, is it? Right? How many happy, wealthy, successful people do we have out there with the current systems that we have? And yet there's no swaying, there's no suggesting, nothing. We stay the course. And I think that if you are an individual of free thinking, and a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make you happy, and you're at end's rope, right? Where you're like, I can't live this way anymore. You have swayed completely off, and now you've become outside of the circle. And I think I really want to pull in a big show about that, about maybe reasons why we need to leave the masses, turn our backs, and do something completely different. Moving forward, the great nothing. That's what I'm calling it. The great nothing. We have a lot of people freaking out about all kinds of different things right now. And you know what? It's a great nothing. A great nothing. Money. We've talked about money a lot on this show. It creates a lot of the struggle. And the rich know that money is a curtain. It's a veil. Most of us are working really, really hard. The majority of us are working really, really hard to save all that money, to make all that money. When we make all that money, that's when life will get better. Now, I don't completely disagree with that. I, for one, have money, emergency funds and savings and all kinds of different accounts everywhere where I place money and I do financial planning, and it works to an extent. But even for myself, as smart as I like to fucking think I am, all that the inflation and stuff is killing me, right? My money that I've worked so hard for is losing value every single day, it seems like. And the rich know this. This is the great nothing. This is the facade. This is the illusion of that life is going to get better, right? Life's going to get better when we get that money. But yet, when we look at this, what does money get you? Money most of the time gets you almost nothing. Meaning that it gets you some clothes, it gets you some shoes, it gets you some food, some gas, some electricity, energy. Well, what happens to all of those things? They deteriorate and fall away forever, and there's nothing left in its place. Whereas the rich know, and it just seems common sense, that when we purchase real estate, when we invest into a business, you put money in, money comes back at you, and it just keeps, it should be if you're doing things right, it just keeps coming back and forth. It returns an ROI, return on investment, and it's perpetual. It starts to, that's an investment. That is what money is. So people don't really, and we can look at this as a philosophy of life against the great nothing, is that we want to create something. It's not about getting the money. It's about looking at these things such as real estate or businesses and stuff that are actually feeding you back. I look at in nature or farming and agriculture or growing your own food is you plant a tree and that tree just keeps getting better and better. It gives you, it's got an ROI factor, a stacking of functions that's very high. It can give you shade, right? It can look very beautiful. It could feed you nuts and berries and fruits and things like that. It gives habitat to the animals and the insects. It also converts carbon monoxide to oxygen. The list goes on and on and on. So we should be more after the thing, but yet we are all, most of us, are completely fooled by the great nothing. We're going after something that almost doesn't exist, if that can make any sense. I probably went too fucking far mentally on that fucking thing. We better move on before I lose my fucking mind. Let's move into taking your life back. Your own life. Taking it back. It's been taken from you. Let's just talk about that for a minute here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think that you're completely, I don't know. I think it's kind of weird to say, I'll probably get in trouble, but I think you're delusional. Our lives have been taken away from us, people. Every single day, our freedoms and things like that. Unless you're just ignoring all of these things, you got your head in the ground like an ostrich. Where does your food come from, right? Our lives have been taken away from us. We have we're like hamsters in a fucking cage in a big giant city. And the food, the electricity, the money, everything is, for the majority of us, is exterior. It's out there, and we've got to do certain things to get it, right? You got to go get money. And you only have a certain selection, right, of foods and things like that you can get. Meaning, you got some organic foods, and you've got some non-organic foods, and, you know, there's just this, you go to the grocery store, sometimes there's a limited supply of things, and things start to go, especially right now with supply chain disruptions, and the cost of everything is going up. So you have no control over those things. You are under the duress, I would say, well, not necessarily duress. You're just basically under the control of what needs to happen with the market and the government and things like that. And I think a lot, as we talked about mind control, a lot of people just believe this is what is. There's nothing else that they can do. I live in the city. I'm not a farmer or a gardener, or I don't know how to produce my own food or forage or produce my own energy and things like that, when really these things are not that hard. The reason I think that I look at as far as taking your life back, why I'm into preparedness, survivalism, sustainability, and all these kind of things, is that it brings me closer and closer to my life, to gaining more and more freedom. Now, we look at money and things like that, we'd say we're a slave to money. I consider myself a hybrid. I'm not really a slave to money. Meaning that I can make as much money. You know, it's not like I can plan out. It'd take a lot of work. I believe in myself enough to make $1 million if that's what I wanted to. But I know it would take a lot of work. But pretty much, I have the ability to make as much money or as less money as I want. In the system, I look to take my life back, to own my life, is that I know that I am controlled under certain factors such as taxes. So if I make a certain amount, I know I'm in a certain tax bracket. I can compute how much money do I need per month, per week, per year to make, how much of those taxes are going to be taken out, and do I want to live comfortably in this realm of, in this amount of cash flow, or do I want to create more? So there's many, many things that we can do where we are taking our life back. Growing a lot of your own food, as I said, is very, very, very powerful. Producing your own, last week's show, producing your own yogurts and kefirs, fermented foods and things like that are perpetual. One thing I failed to say was a sourdough bread starter. There's a little piece of this live culture that makes the sourness in the bread, and you can keep yourself a little piece of that like a golf ball, and you can keep perpetuating sourdough bread. Those are, excuse me, I'm getting over the COVID here, by the way. Drink some water and wash that down. These are things that I look at where we take control of our lives. Another way that I would say that control is the shittiness of the food that we eat. And I believe your food should be your medicine should be your food. I believe that the foods that we eat are completely destroying us. Not completely destroying us, but pretty damn close. Just in conjunction with many other things. But our food is very, very important. I just got exposed. This one just really got me. We were sleeping out in the country in a tent, and they were blowing pesticides all over the agricultural areas, and the smell and the fog of everything just really blew my mind. But just the smell of it, breathing that stuff in, and just thinking in my mind about all of that being around the surface of the fruits and vegetables and nuts and things, and that's what we're consuming, which in turn, the body, in my opinion, fights and fights and fights. It fights things like cancers. It fights things like the bad bacteria. And then we have, in our day and age, lots of toxins, lots of toxicity. And over a time period, as we consume these things and are exposed to other things through our skin and our breath and everything else, it weakens the body, weakens the immune system until the body can't handle it anymore. So we're being controlled by eating these shitty-ass foods, even in the organic sector. I'm sure a bunch of you have not. We're controlled through information, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys don't know that there's a lot of sayings of better than organic. In fact, some of the organic practices are so bad that some people don't even want to talk about it. I'll leave it at that, so I don't know how much trouble I can get. But I also think that, as we said, mind control, your life is being taken away from you because a lot of people can't think for themselves. They're scared to stand out from the herd. They're prisoners of society, I'd say. You know, being around a lot of wealthy people, which I had the experience, let's just put it that way, this last week. And they're wearing their white polo shirts in the grass and, sitting eating food in the backyard at this well-to-do gathering, and everybody's trying to look the part with their dress shoes and things like that. And I think there's a lot going on in each individual's lives, but yet they're too scared to form an opinion, an opposing opinion, or create it inside themselves. They'd rather just follow the herd. And in fact, I think what most people are trying to do is they're giving a shit what other people think about them. I say that a lot on the show, but it's so important. They're preoccupied with how they look and how they're being perceived. It's almost like a fucking goddamn model runway or something, and these people aren't even models. At least models are beautiful, But a bunch of men and women just sitting there looking like they're posing every 5 fucking minutes. God, it made me fucking, I don't know. I guess I'm going off on a rant, but I don't know. Those people, I think I feel sorry for. I feel that they have their lives taken from them. They're not themselves. So anyways, that's just my fucking opinions. Moving forward, living versus talking it. God, I notice a lot of people who like to blabber their fucking mouths off, and you're probably listening to one right now. But the difference is when you're living it. I think that in our day and age right now, what we have is a lot of people pointing fingers and talking and forming their own opinions on things and stuff that they're not even fully educated or that they're biasly forming opinions. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because all life, it seems like right now, the majority is a bunch of people talking about what should be done, what could be good, what could be better, and yet hardly any actions. So I think as individuals, for us to escape the great struggle, we need to start doing things. We need to start implementing things. And that's where I say, you got to leave these people that are talking. Just leave them alone. Actions speak louder than words. So You come to me and you start talking, and I'm pulling out carrots and potatoes and yams and edible flowers, cucumbers, tomatoes and peppers and all kinds of different things out of my garden. I'm actually making a difference for nature, for myself, to save money, for flavor, for health. Right now, this morning, as I drive, I'm going to go run on the beach and do some editing and things like that. And yeah, that's the trick. I'm living it. I'm really super excited. I'd like to hear from you guys if you're interested. I just don't know anybody who's doing what I'm doing. For instance, for those of you guys just tuning in and don't know who the fuck I am, last month I skipped out about a month and a half, about 6-7 weeks of podcasting because I've been gone. I've been gone on vacation. And as I said, I'm a hybrid. I'm gaining more and more freedom, and it makes me so excited every single day to find out that I'm creating more. I'm actually living it, right? That's like the premise of the show, is that I would love to share and help other people so that they can get out of the struggle, they can get out of the rat race and into whatever it is that they want. So, yeah, living it versus talking it, I think, is a very, very big one, man. We got to start practicing. We got to start implementing things in our lives and not be scared to fuck shit up. Try different examples of things. Down the pipeline, I've got some stuff for you guys, like food preparation for the week, so that you can go over and design whatever it is that you're designing. The busy week for the busy schedule. What are things we can do to save time and money and things like that? So I'm hoping to become a lot more helpful for you guys. All right, let's move it on. The whole work harder theory and why I don't agree with it. I think this philosophy is right to an extent that, you know what? We definitely need to work harder, especially if you're in your 30s or 40s or something like that, your 50s. Maybe we fucked up. Maybe we're in a position that we don't like. Maybe we got ourselves in debt. We're going to have to work harder, but I think we need to apply ourselves in the right directions and in the right applications. Work harder. I hear all the time people saying, well, I work 2 jobs, I still can't save money and things like that, right? Which brings me to my next note here. I can't save money. I'm working extra harder. Why? Because you're living beyond your means. Someone once told me, they were like, dude, look at, this is not a third world country, okay? You don't have to suffer or kill yourself like this doing your job and working as hard as you do and eating just rice and fucking, these canned foods and stuff to save money and working the hours that you do. This is, it's America. And I said it's a shame that it is, that we should, not that it is America. It's a really nice country to live in. But it's a shame that people don't treat it like it is a third world country. Because guess what, people? If you're not saving fucking money and you're in the struggle, you're in a struggle for a fucking reason, because you're overextending yourself. And that's when I look at the respect. And I think I want to do a whole show on this. As I was at that well-to-do meeting, right, the party, basically. It was a wake for after a funeral. Not my family member, but what happened is I met a Brazilian guy there that was from a third world, basically almost third world country back in the day. For those of you who don't know, I used to live in a third world country. I used to live in Uruguay, South America. And also, this guy, he was from Brazil. We used to go to Brazil, I think, in Argentina to buy rice and stuff like that, grains, seeds for our growing. It was a lot cheaper for some reason. I can't remember. I was a little kid. But yeah, we were both talking about sitting amongst all these rich people in their fucking 3-piece suits and their fancy dresses and everything, of just the respect that you have when you live in a third world country. You come to a place like this and just how wide open the opportunity is, and how much Americans and people who live here just completely disregard and are very unappreciative of things. I mean, out in third world countries, guys, it's hard you turn on the tap, to get some water. Sometimes there's no water. Something's, the windmill's broken. You got to go fix it. You got to go fix it. You don't just wait for somebody else to fix shit. So, very, very intense. But the beauty of this is that when you come from something like that and you have the respect and you know what it's like to see people living on dirt floors and huts and things like that, it brings you into a place where if you want to get out of the struggle, if you want to make money, or you just want to flat out enjoy yourself, you're very appreciative of every little step of the way, every little morsel. Everything has significance to it. And I think that's the big problem with a lot of people, is that they may call me, and I think I have a show coming down the pipe about this, it's not that I'm so meticulous about every single thing that I do. I'm appreciative. I'm aware, basically, better better yet, I'm aware of everything. Every drop of water has significance. You know, every minute the electricity is on has significance. And people may say, well, it's just like a pennies on the dollar. No, that's energy that comes from somewhere. Even your water, it took, whether it's solar power or it's electrical, nuclear power or coal or wherever your power is coming from, somewhere in this earth, something was taken, something was used, that coal. And if you don't think solar panels taking something, then I think you're delusional. Solar panels take petroleum to make. All right, I got a news flash for you. They take some certain chemicals and things, and they're not just completely sustainable. They are needing to be replaced, and they need maintenance. They need all kinds of things. So being appreciative and being respectful and aware of all of these things really could turn you into a good business person, right? And it just makes you feel good inside that you're not being completely wasteful like the majority of people are. So, yeah, we should be pretending that it is a third world country, I think. You know, imagine that it is, and imagine how far ahead we would get as far as money and health and things like that, where we would be appreciative and aware, mostly, let's just say aware, of every single step of the way that we do. And to leave you guys with the last note, I think that stupid people do things that they hate and they think that they can't get out. Smart people do things that are you know, profitable and things like that, even though they don't like them. And this is coming from Sadhguru. I just heard this saying the other day, so it's not my own. I love what he says: a genius will do what is needed gracefully and gratefully, finding peace and finding happily doing the things that are needed to be done. Because these are things that are going to need to be done anyways, right? These are things, regardless, we can't get away. So why be angry and why be pissed off? This goes on multiple levels. Once we can appreciate and look at these things, as I said, from my mind, to add to Sadhguru's message there, is that when we're aware and we're very respectful of every drop of water, every flip of the light switch and things like that, it gives us meaning to our lives, and it gives meaning and it gives good energy, I think, to other people when we do things that are needed. We add stuff that I can't even imagine if you were a king or queen or a president or something and looking at these very big things that some people could get hurt by, but you know that they need to happen, making those great decisions. I don't know why I brought that one out. That one's pretty intense. But yeah, making decisions for your family as a father, as a mother, right, as a spouse, as a care provider of maybe your parents or your grandparents and things like that. All of these decisions, these things that need to happen, to do them happily and get on with your life. That's the show, guys. I hope we brought you guys some value. So I'm not even going to do the exit anymore. I think I'm going to try some new stuff. Well, no, let's do the exit one. Go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.